What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well, and as usual, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to click here on another video, where today we're going to be talking about a brand new film that's going to be coming to theaters on October 10th, and then we'll be getting a release on Netflix later in the month, and that film is called A House of Dynamite. Directed by Kathryn Bigelow, this film stars people like Idris Elba, Rebecca Ferguson, Gabriel Basso, Jared Harris, Moses Ingram, Anthony Ramos, and many, many more. And when I first heard about this film just a couple weeks ago, I was pretty impressed mostly by the cast immediately. Then I saw it was directed by Kathryn Bigelow, who of course has done things like Zero Dark 30 or The Hurt Locker, and the last film she did was Detroit. And in general, she's the director that's usually very highly praised. She's won Oscars before, and so I was pretty excited to see a brand new film from her that was a political thriller that had a bunch of big names in it. And there's tons of names I didn't even mention in there, like Greta Lee as well, who I really enjoy. So you have a great director and you have a great cast, and you immediately have my interest. And so this is an interesting one because I've heard a lot of people kind of buzzing about this one already from early festival screenings, saying that it's probably one of Netflix's strongest films of the year, and many people think this is the film that Netflix is really going to push heavily for the Oscars. And I'm really curious to see what the takeaway of this film is for general audiences, because man, this film made me feel a lot of different things. It's a film I love so much in so many ways, but also a film that truly let me down in one significant way. And we're gonna get into that right now. But before we do that, let's get into what this film is all about. When an unattributed missile is launched at the US, the government scrambles to figure out who's responsible and how to respond before disaster strikes. The narrative unfolds over a compressed time frame through multiple perspectives, including the president, military officials, and policy advisors, as tensions escalate and decisions must be made under immense pressure. And I want to start this off by saying that this movie just had me by the balls, bro. This movie had me from the second it started all the way up to the end. It's a film that I found to be so well made, so well acted, and just consistently tense. The narrative is broken up into 3 different chapters, with us getting the same events but in different perspectives from different characters. At first, I was wondering if this was going to tear the movie down, because the first chunk of the film, where they introduce you to the first set of characters that you're focusing on, which include characters played by people like Rebecca Ferguson, as well as Jason Clarke, Anthony Ramos, and some others, is a really great set piece for what's going on. It's really setting everything up. It's really getting you into the stakes of what's happening as you have this missile that's been sent to the US. They're trying to figure out a way to stop it. They don't know who sent it, what country, and they're trying to figure out with the president and other military officials what to do. And so the tensions are high immediately. And one thing that I think Kathryn Bigelow showcases here in terms of her directing style is how great editing, great script, great dialogue, great actors are going to put together a great time. And that's exactly what you have here. A really tense political thriller with mostly characters speaking on a military Zoom-like thing or within different offices. You know, they're behind computer screens. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do. You're not even watching this missile fly towards, the States. You're just seeing it on their screens. They have a timer, a countdown. They have a general idea of where it's going to crash land. And so they're trying to figure out what to do. Then the movie comes to this very heightened moment of tension and then cuts to black. And then we get to see some of the other characters that we had only seen on screen, but their perspective of this whole event. And at first I thought, oh man, this is maybe gonna kind of slow things down. But instead, the tension was ramped up again as we see the same events unfold, but from a different perspective, getting new information and a new context to how things are being approached from the other side. And then the movie cuts to black again and does the same thing with another group of characters that we had been seeing on screens or been hearing their voice over the course of the film, leaving behind the characters we had already been focusing on in the other 2 chapters, except for when you see them on screen or hear their voice in the moments you already saw in the earlier chapters. This is something that could have gone wrong, but I think what really works about this film is that it's incredibly well acted, incredibly well edited, and incredibly well written. So it keeps things engaging, it keeps things fun, it keeps things very tense. As somebody who has anxiety, I actually felt my anxiety rising up while watching this film. And so the film definitely had me gripped. I was glued to the screen. I was never bored. And for majority of the runtime, I was actually thinking this might be one of the best movies I've seen this year. And I can totally see why there's a lot of people who love film who are watching this film or got to see it in early festival screenings and think, wow, this is like a big contender for Netflix, because it had me glued to the screen from beginning to end, despite the fact that we have 3 chapters of the story that are essentially mowing over the same thing, but it's done differently. It's giving you a different perspective because of all these different characters, adding to the tension, and they all kind of culminate to the final same moment. And then the movie ends, and I don't want to say anything. I don't want to give anything away, but I think the end of this film is going to disappoint a lot of people. This is a film that does not have a satisfying ending given the journey you just went on. And so this is one of those weird situations. It's an incredibly well-made film that's incredibly well acted, has great cinematography, tension-heavy screenplay and dialogue. It's a movie that is, in a lot of ways, a cautionary tale. I think the idea of, nuclear war on our soil is horrifying. The idea of the mystery of like, oh my God, there's a missile coming our way. We have no idea who it is. Who do we start a war with right now? We can't just send a missile over to somebody else and not have it be a problem and just cause war for no reason. So there is a lot of tension. There's a lot of communicating with other countries. Is this you? Is this not you? Who is it? Can we trust these people that's telling us who it is and who it isn't? I mean, I really want to paint the fact that this movie had me glued to the screen. And I saw this film at a press-only screening with probably about, I don't know, maybe a total of like 18 to 20 different people in the room, including the security guards that were there for making sure people don't have their phones out during the screening, and the 2 press representatives. And I pretty much heard the exact same comments about this film from everybody in the theater. Everybody, the second the movie was over, was just kind of like, what? Like, hands up, like people were just shocked. And it left everybody really disappointed with the way the film ended, because the movie was so good. Like, I mean, literally for me, up to the final moments of this film, I was thinking this is one of the best films I've seen this year. And it just gives you an ending that I'm sure some people will appreciate. But I think a lot of people, especially since this is a film that primarily will be viewed on Netflix, a lot of people are going to watch this film at home and probably be really glued into it. Maybe they throw it on while they're doing something else and find themselves more and more and more into it. And then the end is going to come and they're just going to kind of shrug their shoulders. They're going to put their hands up and be like, really? I just sat here for 2 hours for that ending? And so, yeah, I mean, it's a tough movie to talk about because I don't want to spoil anything. The premise is what it is. The story structure is what it is. And I'm happy to tell you that it's actually really well made. I think cinephiles will appreciate the filmmaking, the writing, the screenplay, the dialogue, all of that a lot, and the really strong cast. But it is one of those situations where you will likely get to the end of the film and just either feel cheated or feel like, oh, I can appreciate this kind of like, artistic ending they tried to have. But for me, as somebody who loves story, I just felt like the story that we had was leading up to what could have been a really great finale, and the final moment of this film just undid it for me. I can still praise the film where it really worked. I can still praise the film for being incredibly gripping, for being anxiety inducing, for being incredibly well made. But man, I'm just, the best way I could describe it is the film gave me blue balls. I have very little negatives about the film except for how it stuck its landing. And I don't think it stuck the landing. I think this is a situation where you have all the right pieces and you have a very ambitious ending that just turned me off. And I think people will love the ending of this film. I think it wants you to ask questions. I think it wants you to kind of have a discussion with maybe the people you saw it with, so that you kind of think about it a little bit more. And I'm really trying to dance around this without spoiling how the movie ends. But what I will say is that it just left me feeling unfulfilled for how anxiety inducing and how tension heavy the journey was. It didn't feel like one of those like ambitious endings that makes me go like, oh man, I can't believe that's how they ended it. Instead, it was one of those ambitious endings that just ended and I just went, really? And I literally saw like several people over the theater just kind of have their hands go up like, really? The second that the credits started rolling. So yeah, guys, that's going to be my very mixed thoughts on House of Dynamite. And I would almost even say not even mixed thoughts. I thought the film was so good. It was so good, but the ending made it a movie I will likely never watch ever again, unless somebody I know is like, hey, do you want to watch this together? But even then, I don't know. It just doesn't give me any sort of ability to want to watch it back. But I think this film showcases why Kathryn Bigelow is such a great director, and it has an incredible cast. Oh, I wanted to love this film. I wanted to love it so much. I just didn't. And so, yeah, that's going to be my long, rambly, very mixed thoughts on A House of Dynamite. Man, I wish I loved this film more. Definitely looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say whenever you get the chance to check it out. And if you've already seen it, what are your thoughts on the film? Leave some comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one, all right? Bye-bye.